Hey everyone, David Aragona here, taking a look at the feature race at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It is race 10, the Mucho Macho Man Stakes for the newly turned 3-year-olds going the one-turn mile. This is the first in a series of preps that will culminate in their Grade 1 Florida Derby. We'll see if any of these horses prove good enough to actually tackle the Florida Derby, because this is not the strongest edition of the Mucho Macho Man. So we'll see if these horses do take a step forward on Saturday. Let's throw up the field for this race. Just a field of 6 signed on, and you really do have 4 major players in this race, and you can see they're listed as the 4 shortest prices on the morning line. I'll be interested to see how the public does bet this race. The number 2 Strike Hard listed as the slight favorite at 2-1. I would have anticipated the number 6 Graphic Detail, though, could be the one that ends up favored. We'll see how the public does bet that. He's listed as the slight second choice at 5-2, but he is coming off a victory in his career debut for Bill Mott, whereas a lot of these other Gulfstream or Florida-based runners have been facing some suspect competition, but have run some decent speed figures. Let's move into the Timeform US pace projector before we do talk about those likely favorites. And you do see that red color-coded flag indicating a fast pace in this race. We'll see if that does develop. There's just a field of 6 horses, and the pace is going to be heavily dependent on rider tactics. The number 3 Simplification does have plenty of early speed coming out of a series of sprint races, so he does seem like the most likely pace setter. And the number 1 Sport Pepper, another horse that's done his best running when he can make the early lead. So those two seem like they're the 2 most likely to hook up on the front end to maybe create some pace in this race. But it's not like there's a confirmed deep closer in here that's going to need things to really heat up on the front end. So it's the kind of race where I think everyone's going to have a fair chance. Just depends on who's ready to go and takes a step forward on the day. Let's move into the contenders, beginning with the horse that I suspect might go favored. That's the number 6 Graphic Detail, that Bill Mott trainee who cost $320,000 as a yearling. Let's take a look at his career debut when he time out late in the Belmont Park meet. He comes into the stretch third, about 5 lengths off some dueling leaders, but he finishes off this race pretty nicely going to 6 furlongs. The top 2 definitely kind of got themselves tired dueling each other into defeat on the front end, but Graphic Detail just stays on steadily to eventually reel them in by the time they get to the finish line. As you can see, it was a race that was kind of falling apart a little bit at the end. The 3rd place finisher is also making up a lot of ground to get up into that 3rd spot by the time they cross the wire. It's not like Graphic Detail was flying across the finish line. I would say it was a workmanlike effort where he just kind of ground down the 2 leaders, but he got a 94 Timeform US speed figure, which is respectable. That was somewhat bolstered by the fact that they did go a quick clip up front. You see those 3 red color-coded Timeform US pace figures indicating the fast pace of that race, which definitely helped his closing kick. He's okay. We'll see if he takes another step forward here for Bill Mott. But I do have some stats to point out about this horse. Let's take a look at a formulator fact for Bill Mott. Over the past 5 years, with horses that won their debuts coming back in their second starts on the dirt, Bill Mott is just 3 for 29 with a percentage win rate of just under 10%, $1.32 ROI. I should say just over 10%. Graphic Detail definitely fits this stat, a horse that did win his debut and is now moving up in class for his second start. Bill Mott, though, tends to get overbet with these horses, and I just wonder if he's another one that's going to take more money than his debut running line really suggests that he should. And one more note I want to make about his debut is that a horse that finished well in that race as well, the 3rd place finisher, Dr. Levy, who was also closing into that pace, he came back in his next start at Aqueduct at a relatively short price and took a big step backwards. He was totally uncompetitive, a huge speed figure regression. So that makes me a little bit worried about the quality of the race that Graphic Detail is coming out of. Also, Graphic Detail is a son of Practical Joke, and we've seen these Practical Jokes win early in dirt sprints, but not have so much success yet in route races. And Graphic Detail, Practical Joke, his sire, he's had 29 dirt sprint winners in his first crop so far, just 1 dirt route winner. So that's a little bit concerning as Graphic Detail stretches out for the first time. Let's take a look at one of Graphic Detail's main rivals, Strike Hard, and look at his PPs coming into this Mucho Macho Man. Really not a whole lot to knock about this runner's form. He is one of the many runners in this race who's based at Gulfstream, so he's been competing there maybe against some slightly lesser competition than the New York rivals as he's coming out of those summer and fall Gulfstream Park races. But nevertheless, he's earned some pretty solid speed figures in those races. He ran very well last time when he won, earning that 90 Timeform US speed figure, beating today's rival Skippy Longstocking. Let's take a look at that race, the stretch run of that Gulfstream allowance race when he won going the same one-turn mile distance last time. And there is Strike Hard, that gray runner with the red shadow roll coming into the stretch on the outside of Skippy Longstocking, another rival that he's facing today. He overhauls that runner coming to the quarter pole and opens up on this field coming to the wire. Strike Hard did make a big aggressive move coming around the far turn to take this race over and kind of took everybody off the bridle at that point. But one negative thing about this race is you notice when they're coming through the stretch, Strike Hard was hanging on his left lead for the entire stretch run. When you look at his PPs, write down the comments for all of his starts, just left lead, left lead, left lead. Strike Hard is not a horse that changes lead smoothly in his races, and eventually that could catch up with him. We'll see if that's the case on Saturday, but he definitely is one of the ones that's coming into the race with the strongest form. Skippy Longstocking, who he defeated in that race, we're taking a look at his PPs here. He's run fine on his races. He did win going this distance 3 back when he broke his maiden by over 10 lengths, earned a solid 94 time from US speed figure that day. That's the same number that Graphic Detail earned in his debut, and he did it going the one-turn mile. So that does bode well for Skippy Longstocking's chances in this race. He is one of the horses, though, that was kind of surprised by that aggressive move that Strike Hard made coming around the far turn in that allowance race last time, and he was obviously no match for Strike Hard that day. So whereas Strike Hard has really stepped forward in recent races, I think Skippy Longstocking for Safi Joseph is going to have to prove that he can similarly improve coming into this Mucho Macho Man, because he's got some ground to make up on that Florida-based rival Strike Hard. Another locally based runner that could take some money in this race is the number 3 Simplification. Let's take a look at his maiden win 2 back when by over 16 lengths, going 6 furlongs at Gulfstream Park. This was a very visually impressive win. Kind of came out of nowhere because although he had run well in his debut on the synthetic course at Gulfstream, had not done anything like this or shown this kind of speed, and he just absolutely destroyed this field to win by nearly 17 lengths. Got a 92 buyer speed figure for this race. The Timeform US speed figure not quite as bullish on the strength of that performance, just a 99, which is only 7 points higher than the buyer. Typically, you see more of like a 20-point differential between Timeform US speed figures and the buyer numbers. And part of the lower Timeform US speed figure is due to the fact that the pace of that race was not that fast. You see those blue-colored coated Timeform US speed figures 2 back. So Simplification had the best of it that day against some inferior competition. The problem with Simplification, though, is he stepped up against winners last time as the 1-5 favorite, was just really disappointing. He didn't have his typical early speed, got passed around the far turn, and had no answer through the stretch. So which version of Simplification are we going to get? The one last time that was just pretty ordinary, or the really fast horse that we saw 2 back? I'm not quite sure. And furthermore, even if Simplification shows up with his good effort, he's got to stretch out to the one-turn mile, and I'm not totally confident about it. He's got more of a sprint pedigree on the dam side. Just looking at him, he seems like more of that rounder sprinter build. So I'm not totally sold on Simplification stretching out in distance in this race, but he could have a big impact on the early pace. Let's throw out my picks for this race. I'm going to go with one of those Florida-based runners, the number 2 Strike Hard. He's listed as the 2-1 morning line favorite. We'll see where the public goes if they make him or Graphic Detail the favorite. I just trust Strike Hard a little bit more because he's had that experience going the one-turn mile. He's not a horse that needs to be forwardly placed. He's got a more versatile running style, so he's not going to be affected if they go quickly up on the front end. His rider, Junior Alvarado, can just take him off the pace and come around horses like he did winning that allowance race impressively last time. We'll see if he changes leads in this race. That's not a guarantee given his prior history, but he might not have to win this race because it has not posed a problem for Strike Hard yet. I've got that other short price, the number 6 Graphic Detail, in third, and I've got the horse that Strike Hard beat, Skippy Longstocking, slotted in between them. But not the most appealing wagering race. I think Strike Hard would be the kind of horse you might want to bet at 5-2 or 3-1, but not sure we'll get that high of a price on him in this 6-horse field in the Mucho Macho Man on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Good luck if you're playing this weekend.